Hello everyone, it's Ben's Body again with another video, and some of you wanted me to discuss fat loss and how to get really lean. So today's topic will be how to really get lean and what's my thoughts on that, and what does science say about it. So first of all, in regards to getting lean, you have to know that you got to be in a calorie deficit. So you got to have low calories than you take out. So when people say calorie in, calorie out, they're somewhat correct in that way. You have to be in a calorie deficit. Simple as that. However, not all calories are created equal. So don't think that just because you are intaking less calories that you are going to efficiently and optimally burn fat. Current research has said that higher protein diets actually worked a lot more in favor of fat loss and muscle building than any other diet. Okay, there was a study which I'm gonna post at the end of the video. There was a study done on two groups. One group consumed, again, both groups were in calorie deficit. One group consumed high protein diet and one group didn't. The group that consumed high protein diet in a calorie deficit built muscle and lost fat at the same time. So if you want fat loss and muscle gain, up your protein intake. And when I say up your protein intake, minimally you should have 2 grams per kilo of your body weight. Especially if you are dropping the calories, they're going to drop from something. So they might drop from carbohydrates or they might drop from fats, but they will drop. So up your protein intake even more. Okay. Again, you have to be within that calorie deficit. So let's say your maintenance calories were 3,000. You got to be lower than 3,000 to burn fat. You can also be in the maintenance calories and burn fat. Okay, high intensity training can do that for you. Higher intensity resistance training, for example, can actually do that for you. High protein diet can do that for you. But if you really want to get shredded, you have to be in a calorie deficit. Up your protein intake, and my suggestion is drop your carbohydrates. When I say drop carbohydrates, I don't mean go keto. I don't particularly like that. Some people do, and you know what? Good for you. That's fine. Okay. I do like to have carbohydrates in my diet, especially in around training time, so I do recover quicker. Carbohydrates. Now you got to remember that fats can also turn into glucose, so you need your fats in your diet more than you need your carbs. Okay, fats are required. Good fats are required for everything in your system. Okay, from your neuromuscular function, from your hormones, from your vitamins A, D, and E and K. So pretty much a lot of systems in our bodies function with fat. This is why we need fats more than we need carbohydrates in regards to survival. I'm talking about survival here. You need your fats. You can actually live without carbs. Now, in saying that, as I said, I still prefer to have some carbohydrates. In my opinion, and with my clients, I like to have my morning carbohydrates. Some people don't. Some people like their protein, high protein in the morning, so they can burn fat a lot more. But I do like to feel that feeling of fullness. Okay, the muscle fullness I'm talking about with carbohydrates, and in around training times. So my training times, let's say I train, and I'm talking about resistance training here. I will have carbohydrates before and after. Okay, especially towards the end when I'm really lean, I really need to make sure that I have those carbs, and also maybe some lollies during the training session to keep my glucose up. So really, in a nutshell, in regards to your nutrition, up your protein intake, guys. Okay, don't be afraid of that. Minimal amount of protein that you should be taking is about 2 grams per kilo of your body weight. You can go up more, okay, especially when you drop your carbs, but again, stay within that calorie deficit. So that's in regards to your nutrition. Upping your protein intake is the main key to fat loss and also hypertrophy, getting the muscle up. In regards to your training, guys, I would definitely split My cardiovascular training, your cardiovascular training and your resistance training, I would split that. I would do cardiovascular training in the morning before breakfast, and I would do my resistance training afterwards. If you can't, and if you don't have the time to do that, you can still find a way. You may choose to come, let's say after work, you come home and you go to the gym and you're reasonably empty, you didn't eat, you didn't overeat. Do your cardio first. Let's say you've done your cardiovascular training then, a long slow distance. Let's say a power walk or a cycle for about 45 minutes. You stop, you rest for about 10 minutes. You intake your food. You can actually bring some food in your gym. Have some food, have your protein, have your fruit, and then go do your gym session. The reason why I prefer to do that is because I don't like to be, especially towards the end, and when I say especially towards the end, when I'm really lean, okay, I don't like to stay without food for too long, okay, and I don't like to have my resistance training and then waste more time, on cardio when I could be home and getting my nutrition in, okay. So if you are going to do any type of cardiovascular training after resistance, then it should be some kind of interval training that's going to be short in duration, like sprints followed by a steady state, and then sprints followed by steady state and sprints. You might do that for about 20 minutes and go home, okay. That also works, but remember, the longer you are on a diet, the leaner you are, the less energy you will have. You will not be able to be at 5% body fat and be full of energy. You're not going to have that, okay? So this is why you don't see a lot of bodybuilders do any type of high intensity interval training, okay? You will see them going for walks. You will see them going for a Stairmaster, and it's going to be in a steady state for a little bit longer, okay? Sometimes an hour cardio, sometimes 2 hours. Some of them do 2 hours cardio in one session, okay? It all depends on what you need, what your body needs, and how lean you are. So your training needs to be up there. And as I said, preferably split your cardiovascular training from your resistance training. Another good way to actually burn fat is sprints. However, sprints can cause damage. You can tear a muscle easily, especially when you're in calorie deficit, especially after, let's say, 2 months or 3 months of intense training. You are going to be tired, you're going to be exhausted. Those sprints come less and less welcoming. Again, this is why you see bodybuilders do long slow distance, because they're easier to withstand on the body and on the mind. You can go to the gym, for an hour, watch some YouTube videos, some motivational videos on bodybuilding, and you know what? Time flies. So this is what I do with my clients, and this is what I do by myself when I comp prep, okay? So that's in regards to training. Now, remember, going back to nutrition, as I said, upping your protein, lowering the carbs, and being in calorie deficit, upping your fats within that calorie range, good fats. You will get to the stage where you feel drained, okay? Usually about 8-week mark, you're going to feel drained. And this is where your hormone leptin can decrease. Now, hormone leptin is responsible to tell your body, okay, I'm full, and also increase your metabolism. So your leptin will increase fat burning. Now, when leptin drops, obviously, then fat burning becomes not so optimal. This is why you will hear people say, have a refeed day. Now, with the refeed day, you take in, let's say, another 20 to 50% extra calories on the day. I would say no more than 20. And I would increase my carbohydrates more than anything else in regards to the refeed day. And let's say my normal carbohydrate range during the diet is between 50 to 150 grams, because I normally carb cycle. Not all days are in the same amount of calories in my days, and again, it's up to you. Then I would have about 300 to 400 grams of carbohydrates on my refeed day. So I will double that. I will double the carbohydrates on that day, then followed by the normal low carb days afterwards, just to spike their metabolism. You might need more refeed days the leaner you are. You might need, refeed day every week if you are, let's say, at 4% body fat or 3% or 5% body fat. So you might need more refeed days. I cannot tell you that. You will need to assess that yourself. The leaner you are, the more refeed days you will have to have. Towards the end of the competition, that if you are competing and towards the end, then I definitely suggest that you then obviously follow the protocol of the peak week and just rest and increase your carbohydrates if you need to, if your body's looking flat, and so on and so on. We're not going to be talking about that, but the less lean you are, the less you need of refeed days. Don't just have a refeed day just because you want to eat. Okay, use it wisely and see for yourself. If you really feel drained, usually about 8-week mark, then you might have a refeed day. You might feel more bloated afterwards and you might feel panicky. You're going to obviously feel more bloated because more water is going to come into your system because of the carbs, but do not be afraid. Okay, you're just going to be spiking the metabolism. After a week, it's going to come back down. You're going to be burning fat more efficiently. So that is in regards to your nutrition and your training. Now, in regards to supplements, the best supplements for fat loss is caffeine. If you look at any fat burning supplement out there, caffeine is the number one ingredient. Why? Because it works. Scientifically, it works. So have your caffeine before cardiovascular training. That's my suggestion. About 100 to 200 milligrams. 200 milligrams of caffeine before cardio is sufficient to make you burn fat. So 100 to 200 milligrams. Also another supplement, well, it's not really a supplement, it's more medication that is known to have effect on fat loss is aspirin. Now, I do not suggest that you take in aspirin if you're sensitive to aspirin. You might have stomach problems, you might have stomach aches, and some people develop ulcers. Okay, so low dose aspirin, 100 milligrams aspirin can be something for you to try with your caffeine before cardiovascular training. So in the morning before breakfast, you have your caffeine, you have your aspirin, you do your cardiovascular training, and see how you feel. Okay, if you start feeling uncomfortable, your stomach feels weird, stop with aspirin, keep the caffeine in. Okay, so that's the best way to supplement yourself in regards to the fat loss. So usually you're looking at about 3 months of hard training and diet to get yourself in a great shape. Okay, usually about 3 months. Some people take more, depends on your body fat. Okay, well, let me tell you the story about myself. For my last competition, I was doing two sessions a day. One was in the morning, cardiovascular training in the morning. One was in the afternoon, resistance training was in the afternoon for about 8 weeks, 10 weeks. After that, I've noticed that I wasn't lean enough. Okay, I was lean, but I wasn't lean enough for a competition stage. So what I said is I will do 3 sessions a day. So I was doing cardio in the morning, resistance training in the afternoon straight after work, and then cardio late at night, 24-hour gyms. I was there at 11 o'clock to about 12 o'clock at night. Wake up the next day, 5 o'clock in the morning, do my cardio before work, have a shower, eat, go to work, come home, go to train, and so on for another 6 weeks. So you got to do what it takes to get that body that you want. Now, that's competition talk. Okay, you don't have to do that because you've got all the time. You might give yourself 5 months to get lean and to get really shredded. Okay, for summer, for example, and you just do that. Now, remember this, guys. If you want to maintain that body fat, If you want to maintain at least close to that body fat that you reached for, let's say, summer or a competition stage, you have to be careful of how you diet for about 6 to 12 months. I say 6 months, no, I say 12 months. You have to really be careful with your calories so the weight doesn't come back on. It will come back on gradually, but not as much. Okay, so you got to really be careful how you. So you got to make sure that you do not intake a crazy amount of calories straight afterwards. You might do first week after competition, but then go back to the normal diet, go back to the diet, and slowly introduce the calories, and slowly, because you want your body to remember the weight that you're at. Okay, remember this, guys. Your body is all about homeostasis. Homeostasis is basically where body feels most comfortable at. So if you're always at 90 kilos, let's say, and you drop to 70 kilos, your body wants to jump back to 90 kilos because that's where it functioned. Your body remembers that homeostasis. So it's gonna be hard for you to keep that 70 kilos if you are just going to start eating again, not do any cardio. You will jump back to 90 in no time. This is why you've got all those memes, 3 months of dieting, and then a week of splurging, and then he's back to the same weight. So be careful how you eat after you reach that body fat that you wanted, if you want to maintain that or close to that for about a year, 6 months to a year. Be careful what you do. Okay, you might increase your cardio during those times as well. Make sure that your body becomes comfortable at the weight that you want it to be at. Okay, I think we covered everything. So in a nutshell, up your protein intake, guys. Do not be afraid to up your protein. Drop the carbs. That's my suggestion, dropping the carbs, because we need more fats than we need carbs, because fats can turn into glucose anyway. Your carbohydrates should be taken in around training times, resistance training times, not your cardiovascular training times, resistance training times. Supplements, caffeine, and possibly aspirin. Okay, you can research that yourself. Training, if you can, split your training routines, split your cardio from your resistance training, please. If you can't, do what I said. You might do your cardio first, have your nutrition, and then resistance training afterwards. If you can't do that, then have your interval training straight after resistance. Again, later on, when you are really weak, it's going to be less and less welcoming. Okay, you're not going to be wanting to do a lot of sprint training during that time. Okay, some of you may not require cardiovascular training at all. You've got great metabolisms, good for you. Dexter Jackson, when he was younger, he didn't do a lot of cardio. Okay, but most of us will need to do that cardio no matter how good we are genetically. We will need that cardio. In the end, if you want to get down to 5% body fat or 10% body fat, you might need to have some cardiovascular training in there. Okay, especially if you want to get below 10%. Okay, 10% you might get away with doing no cardio, but eventually you should. And also it's good for your heart anyway. Come on, guys. Okay, I don't like doing a lot of cardio, but it's good for you. Anyway, guys, I think we covered everything. Now, remember, if you have any questions, and if I missed something, please ask me. I will try to get to your questions as soon as possible, and if I don't get back to you straight away, just know that I will. Okay, because I get really busy with clients and everything else. Again, the buzzing sound is not the vacuum, it is my laptop that is always just cooling off, and I need to buy a camera so I can do videos separately and then upload them, because this is ridiculous. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. I will come back to you with more videos. If you want to ask me more, ask me more. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys soon.